Hey everybody, what's up? As you can tell, I wasn't planning on doing anything tonight. The ITHP guys were all scattered um, across the state, and we couldn't get everybody on the same page tonight. But we're probably going to do something tomorrow night as a special edition of ITHP. But I had too many crazy thoughts running around in my head. I've been sick the last couple days. I missed last week's show, and I just had too much on my mind that I wanted to get off my plate after the news today that Pittman has been fired. Bobby's named the interim. Uh, Anybody shocked by this, honestly? I mean, is it something? Is there anybody in the Razorback fan base that was just so taken aback by this that they are shocked to their core? Like a nuclear bomb was dropped on the program or something. I am not. I personally think it's overdue. I feel like Sam should have been let go after going 4-8 in 2023, and then at the end of last year, I feel like Sam missed an opportunity to kind of ride off into the sunset. Got back to a winning season last year. He was 6-6, and then won the Liberty Bowl again. To me, it feels like a missed opportunity for him to kind of ride off as a hero rather than being ousted as kind of the villain as he was today. Um, you've been hearing all kinds of stuff all day long. This all started back earlier in the week. There Brandon Marcello, one of the most trusted guys in college football, CBS Sports, great reporter. Actually got his start here in Arkansas, I think, and has just worked his way up the ladder. He's one of the most trusted names in the business. Was talking about that, Petrino was going to be the interim. This was before anything was even mentioned about Sam possibly getting fired after this Notre Dame game. Marcelo comes up, and I think he kind of let the cat out of the bag on something he wasn't supposed to, because he kind of backtracked it just a little, but he never really backed off of it. He went in and said that Petrino's been working the phones behind the scenes to, see if maybe, I don't know, see if maybe he could get the interim job, or see if maybe there's somebody that's interested in coming on board as a patchwork assistant for the rest of the year. I don't know, but I knew as soon as a a car dealership mogul in Central Arkansas went on statewide radio to do damage control and say, "Oh, there's no truth to this. There's nothing to it. Blah blah blah." Kind of reminded me of the scene in Animal House where Kevin Bacon's trying to control everybody, and it's "remain calm, all is well." Kind of had that feel to it. And then, lo and behold, the team goes out, lays a complete eggs on Saturday. They gave up. They tapped out. They let go of the rope, whatever you want to say, and it ended up 56-13. I think they kind of let go of the rope, I guess, early in the second quarter, maybe the fake punt, I'm not sure, but you could tell they let go of the rope. It's just one of those deals where it is what it is. This is the era that we're in. This team gave up. You have to excuse me for that. I've been sick all week. I feel like the initial letting go of the rope was after the loss at Ole Miss. I mean, you look, this team was in line to beat the Ole Miss team that just upset number 4 LSU yesterday and dominated that game. And this team, the same team that laid the egg at Memphis, that let go of the rope yesterday against Notre Dame, had a chance to beat Ole Miss. What happens if they don't fumble the ball there and they drive in for that score and they beat Ole Miss? I don't think you lose to Memphis. I think you play better yesterday. You may still lose, but it's probably competitive. But this has been an ongoing problem the entire Pittman era outside of the 9-win season that he had in 2021. The team has been mentally soft. They have been unable to overcome adversity when it hits in a game. Mistakes, 1 becomes 2, 2 becomes 3. And it's just they toss in everything, as soon as something bad happens, instead of putting it behind them and trying not to let the same mistake happen again. So anyway, here we are. Pittman's out. Petrino's in. Bobby P rides again. Will it be the same? I have no idea. I think this is a completely different era. He's definitely dealing with a different kind of player than he dealt with in the 21-5 run of 2010 and 2011. These are not players that you can go the traditional BMFP butt chewing on and expect them to respond. These guys get a little bit of hard coaching, and they're, taking their $100 bills and wiping their eyes from their NIL money and hitting the portal because they don't want to be treated that way. Well, you know what? Hard coaching comes from a place of love a lot of times. And I don't know that there's anybody on this roster that can handle the type of coaching of an OG Bobby Petrino. Now, will we see a different Bobby Petrino? I don't know. I don't know what to expect here. I'm also not ready to say he gets the job beyond the interim. I think what you do is you put him in this interim. You give him full staff control. If he wants to go in and wipe out staff members, as long as he's got somebody that can come in and take the place for the rest of the year with the understanding that there's no guarantee beyond these 7 games. Okay, this is it. You got 7 games, maybe 8 if there's a bowl game, but most likely if you're on an interim basis, you're not going to be holding on for that bowl game. So we will see what happens here. Does he try to go find somebody to replace Travis Williams? Because I think that's the next piece that has to go. I think Travis Williams gave up over 700 yards of offense to Notre Dame yesterday. Gave up 500 and something to Memphis. Gave up 500 and something to Ole Miss. I mean, that's, 1,700 yards in 3 games? You can't keep your job doing that. So, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I think there's a lot of pieces on the table. I got 5 people watching. Thank you for those 5 people. Y'all want to comment? I'll put your comment up. We'll see what you guys think, because my thoughts are, let's start the national search now, like Hunter said. But here's my caveat. I don't want Hunter Yurachek making the next hire. I think he's as big a part of the problem with Arkansas's NIL as anything. If you've kept up with anything he said since NIL became a thing, he made his feelings well known that he was not a proponent of NIL, did not support it, thought it sucked. I mean, I think that was his exact words about being an AD in the NIL era. It sucks. Well, okay, that's fine. You can have that comment behind closed doors with your staff and with your boosters, and you can go home and tell your wife about it at night. But when you're out in the public, you got to put on the face of, hey, it's not an ideal situation, but we have to embrace it and roll with it if we want to be competitive. That's all he had to say. But he was too stubborn and too proud, and he made his comments, and this is why the Arkansas NIL collective that has changed its name and its phrase and its handle 3 different times, that's why it's crap right now. Because if your leader doesn't believe in it, then why should people like me give the $100 a month that he's talking about? So I have a problem with Yurachek being involved. Here's Baxter. Baxter Meeks. All I can say is the next hire better be a big name. Talking Gruden or Saban to be very public what's taking place, and it needs to be very public what's taking place. Fair on the big name. I think there's a better chance of me and you both winning the Powerball than there is pulling Nick Saban out of retirement to come to Arkansas. He's not going to come somewhere where he has to do a complete rebuild. He's going to come into a place that's missing maybe 1 or 2 key pieces, if he even wants to get back in the game. He looks like he's starting to have fun on College game day. I don't know. Brian Gard, appreciate it, man. Hunter Yurachek won't make the hire. He will be the face of the exchange, the papers for someone to sign, but that's it, if he is here for that long. I'm not sure that he's going to be here that long, but I think that's right. It's kind of like the whole Calipari thing. He was told, go stand over here in the corner. I'm going to take care of this, and then when we need you, we'll have you come over here and sign your little papers and then be done with it. So, okay, Baxter clarifying, saying, I don't think it'll be one of them, but to make a point. That's fair. How desperate is John Gruden to get into the SEC? Is he desperate enough to take a rebuild job like this? Clay Clayton, my cameraman on Friday nights, shout out Clay for the great work he does. A great coach is needed, and I feel they'll get one, but it won't matter until the NEA, I think you mean NWA elite, step up and donate. I've been told that the money's there. The reason that the money is not coming in is because they don't believe in the leadership. They didn't believe in Sam, and Yurachek's burnt some bridges. Whether that's true or not, I don't know, but that's what I've been told by people I trust, and we'll see. There's money up there. There's money that could be brought in with the right person leading the charge. Now, just because the Walmart money's there, the J.B. Hunt money's there, the John Tyson money is there, doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to start handing it over, like Monopoly money to the football program. All these billionaires are billionaires for a reason. They want a return on their investment. If they don't think they can get a return, or it's not going to be something that will benefit them, why would they invest? I'm the same way. But I'm one of these idiots out here that if I hit the Powerball, the first thing I'm doing is I'm calling up there and saying, okay, I have a blank check. Here's what I want. You tell me when to stop putting zeros on this check. I'm one of those idiots you'd see on the show, Powerball ruined my life because I'm an idiot with money. Yeah, well, that's how I would be my idiot with money, is to make Arkansas great again. That's what I would do with the money. We'll see. Can it happen? I don't know. Who do y'all think some of the names we should go after? I got my list. My list is not real popular, but I've got my list. I think, if you can't go for that pie in the sky, if you get, I think you have to get laughed off the phone by John Gruden's people. And here's why. Now, I'm not saying he's a realistic candidate, but I think you have to throw money. I think you have to throw the invite out and say, hey, man, what would you consider it? What would it take to get you here? What do you need? And if he's that desperate to get into the SEC, he's going to have realistic demands, I guess you could say, or requests. I think request is a better word. And just like that, Dallas is going full Dallas, and it looks like Green Bay's down at the 1. Not want to take y'all away from that because we all know Dallas is going to lose tonight, and I figure there's a lot of green in the stadium at Arlington. But anyway, I digress to get back to Gruden. On the Gruden front, reach out to him. What do you got to lose? What do you have to lose by reaching out to his people and saying, hey, man, we hear you're pretty desperate to get in the SEC. What would it take for you to come to Arkansas? And if it's realistic and it's something you can pull off, pull the trigger. Is he going to win big? I don't know. I know this. He's going to bring the same amount of media hype to Arkansas that Coach Prime brought to Colorado. And it was fun while it lasted, but I feel like the Coach Prime bottle rocket has went pff, and now it's fallen back down. But why would you not want the 2 years that they had of the unending media attention, on your program? You talk about a program that was dead in the water. The Colorado program was DOA. And Prime comes in, he brings a new attitude. He brings all these celebrities in. He brings all of the PR. Did they win? Not the first year. They went, 7-6 last year, 8-5, something like that. You can't tell me Arkansas fans wouldn't jump on that with all of the media attention that came with it. So what do you got to lose? Now, if you get laughed off the phone by Gruden's people, I think the next call you make is a guy. Let me give you his stat line first. He's got SEC experience. He took a team in the old SEC Western Division to a number 1 ranking for the first time in school history. He won the division when he was a head coach in the East. And he's now currently out west, and he's got his current team at 4-0, and that's Dan Mullen. Before you start with the Cousin Eddie jokes and, tear me up in the comments, hear me out. He won big in Starkville. He took Starkville, Cowbell U. He took them to a number 1 ranking. Granted, he had, Dak Prescott as his quarterback, had some key pieces, but he won in Starkville. He won pretty consistently in Starkville. Took a little while to get there, but once he got there, he was winning 7, 8, 9 games a year until he decided to go to Florida. He was 34-15 at Florida, won the East Division in 2020. And then they decided 34-15 was not good enough. They fired him, And if you look at Florida Twitter and Florida message boards and everything now, they're regretting that decision. They're regretting firing Dan Mullen and bringing in who they brought in, Napier. They're regretting bringing him in. A lot of people are saying, we never should have fired Dan Mullen. So does Mullen want to get back in the grind that is the SEC, or does he want to stay out west where there's no pressure to perform? I mean, I don't know. But I think you have to reach out to his people and find out, hey, would you have any interest? He's familiar with the program. He's familiar with the recruiting base. I think he would be a good fit. If you can win in Starkville, you can win anywhere, in my opinion. So we'll see. I see a lot of people talking about Rhett Lashley. Let me ask you this. If Rhett Lashley had not played at Arkansas, would he be on anybody's radar? And I get trying to get the ties to the program. I get it. I think it's personally a little overrated, especially in this era. But I get it. Do I think he would come here? I think it would be a foolish career move for him to leave what he's got at SMU to come here. Because SMU, okay, hang on, hold that thought. Brian Gard, Dan Mullen has expressed interest through his agent. Well, there you go. I mean, maybe we have the answer to the question there. To get back to my point on Rhett Lashley, I think it would be a foolish decision career-wise for him to come to Arkansas right now. He plays in a much easier conference. There's less pressure to perform at SMU. He has an Autobahn clear pathway to the playoffs. Now, is he taking advantage of it? Not to this point. And then also on top of that, SMU alumni base has stupid money, like ridiculous, crazy money. And if history is any indication, they're not afraid to bend the rules a little bit, which right now there's no rules to bend, okay? Everything that SMU did that got them the death penalty back in the day is on the table now. So why would you not, if you're SMU, why would you not be doing everything you could in the Pony Express days to get that kind of talent back? Because there's that kind of talent in Texas. And I think SMU could be a sleeping giant. I think if Lashley comes up and wins 9 or 10 games again this year, he's going to turn some more heads. And I think you'll get more of that alumni base back involved. And the more that base is involved, as long as they stay in the ACC, that's going to be an easy pathway for him to make the playoffs. You come here and you look at what's coming on your schedule for the next 4 years. You know, they just set up the permanent opponents for the schedule. And if you look at Arkansas's schedule for the next 27, 28, 29 seasons, compare it with SMU's, there is no comparison. You have to take the easy route. And you take that easy route and you get to the playoffs, and then when you're done at SMU, go somewhere else, whatever. When your coaching career is over, you can retire back to your home state. I think you're running a risk of not being able to retire back home. And then, you know, we'll see. I just don't think that Lashley is a realistic possibility. I was watching 4th and 5 podcast earlier, their special edition with Matt Harris and DJ Williams. Absolutely love the show. Look, this is just a plug. I'm not paid by them or anything. I think they have one of the best breakdowns of anybody doing film breakdown on Razorback games and stuff, and it's from two guys that have been in there and know. And the way Grant Cook breaks down their offensive line stuff is just phenomenal. I heard them bring up a name earlier that kind of made me cringe a little bit. And again, we're back to the whole thing of the only reason it got brought up is because the guy has Arkansas ties, and that's Dow Loggins. Now, Dow Loggins, if you followed his career, he's been all over the place. I mean, the Johnny Cash song, I've Been Everywhere, man, kind of fits. He's been all over. He's in his first year as a head coach at Appalachian State. Not doing bad, not doing great. Could he possibly be the coach one day? Yes, but I think he needs a little more head coaching experience before I would feel comfortable bringing him over. 1 year, that's hard for me to swallow. And if this program is in such a better state now than it was back in 2019 when we did this coaching search last time, then we should be able to get somebody with more head coaching experience than 1 year. Shout out my boy David Edwards. I know he's got the dual TV set up. He's watching the Packers and the Cowboys, and then appreciate him tuning in tonight. Next coach needs to be a good fundraiser too, honestly. I mean, that's the thing, man. That's where I think Yurachek has failed. I think you've got to put some of that on his shoulders, and you've got to find somebody who honestly can wear a bunch of different hats as the head coach. But I think it's more of your AD on the fundraising side. I would like to see the ideal athletic director for me is if you could clone Keith Carter at Ole Miss and bring somebody in with the vision, the knowledge, the passion that he has shown at Ole Miss, and bring somebody like that to Arkansas, get an Arkansas version of a Keith Carter. I have no idea who that is. No clue. No clue at all. But then as far as your fundraising goes, and I can't believe I'm about to say this, but I'm going to say it. You go hire someone like Houston Nutt to go around to these Razorback Club meetings on behalf of Arkansas Edge, the collective, whatever it's being called now, and you have him do the tent revival circuit, and because there's nobody that can get the offering plate passed like Coach Nutt. And I never thought I'd be one saying that, but holy cow, here we are. All right, we got comments rolling in now. Brian Gard again. Dow doesn't excite anyone. Doesn't excite me at all. I'm not excited by that at all. Okay, here's a name I hadn't thought about. Kenny Dillingham from Arizona State. Okay. I'm not opposed to it. We'll see. I don't know. Would he leave Arizona State to come here? And, I mean, of course, everybody says money talks, money talks. Well, all we've heard from the athletic director is that the money's not there. Travis Choked Williams. Your next head coach is on the hill already. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I think for Petrino to get consideration, if that's who you're talking about, over these last 7, I think he's got to go at least 4-3 to be considered. If he goes 5-2 or better, then you have to have the serious conversation. But if you look at the schedule that's left, you look at these guys that have likely let go of the rope. Man, I just don't know. I think he might can will them to 2, maybe 3. I think that's it. I mean, if he can somehow miracle this bunch to 5 wins, I think he's done a heck of a job. I think he has, at that point, kind of reestablished his legacy a little bit, and then he can ride off into the sunset. Travis again, Houston Nutt would be good to bring the money in. I think in that role, I think that's the perfect role for him. Because if you've seen him, DJ Williams had him on down at Oakland a few weeks back on the 4th and 5. They did a special thing. Dude, he reminds me so much of Frank Broyles. He's a storyteller, makes everybody feel personally involved, treats everybody the same whether you got $2 to give or you got $20,000 to give. He's going to treat you the same in that setting, and that's what's been missing. Jeff Long cut all ties with the fans. Hunter brought it back for a little bit, and then Hunter's burned a lot of bridges with his financial decisions and then flirting with other jobs. I don't know. Travis, again, I agree with it. Just got done with a podcast. We agree Bobby has to go 4-3. Yeah, I think that's the minimum. I think he has to go 4-3 at minimum to get consideration. Nostalgia hires rarely work out for the best. Let's not forget Bobby got a second stint at Louisville. Now he did have some success. He did have a Heisman winner, but a Lamar Jackson is a once in a lifetime top player. Could he bring that here? Have no idea. I don't know that there's any Lamar Jacksons out there that are willing to come play for him at Arkansas. We'll see. He's got his 7-game audition. I want to see what comes out of this presser tomorrow at noon. Excuse me. It's a joint presser with Yurachek and Petrino both. At what point are they going to announce any staff changes, if there are going to be any staff changes? Because your offensive coordinator moving up, is Bobby still going to call all the plays? Is he going to bring somebody in? Are they going to promote somebody to offensive coordinator? Don't know. Don't know what. There's a lot of unanswered questions here that could go a lot of different directions. But I think one move that has to be made is you have to shuffle your defensive staff. The defense has been atrocious to this point. We knew it was going to be a red flag coming into the season. I've been talking about it all the way back into August that this defense was going to be a red flag, and it should have been a red flag when the running backs in fall camp were looking like the second coming of D-Mac and Felix. Well, we now see why they were looking that good in practice, and it wasn't because they are quite that talented. It's because they were running on the Swiss cheese defense. So I don't know, man. There's so many questions. I see names being thrown around. Kurt Cignetti at Indiana. Grand slam, Pujols upper deck shot if you can pull him in, but he's going to have any kind of offer on the table that he would want. The man's winning games at Indiana. So he's going to have opportunities well beyond what Arkansas can offer him. You've seen John Summerall at Tulane. I think it's a similar situation. I think he's a great coach. I think he's a great, young, energetic hire. But I think he's going to have better opportunities to throw out there than Arkansas. Another reason that I feel like Arkansas should have had this opening last year, the year before, less competition. Because now you've already got Virginia Tech open. You've got UCLA open. You've got Oklahoma State open. Most likely Florida's coming open, unless they can't come up with the buyout money for Napier, which he has a ridiculous buyout. But if Florida, I see a lot of chatter on Florida about them wanting to go after Lane Kiffin. If they want him bad enough, Florida will find the money to buy out Napier. And then what if they do? Let's say Florida goes out and they land Lane Kiffin. Well, okay, then that's another level of competition you've got now because Ole Miss is open again. And right now, if you compare the two programs and you're a young and upcoming coach, there's no comparison. You're going to take the job in Oxford, and it kills me to say that, but facts are facts, man. It just David's got a good statement here. Promote Travis Williams to offensive coordinator. He's responsible for a lot of offense. He is responsible for a lot of offense, that's for sure. Baxter, we need them to get someone who's going to bring in an established QB to fill the gap there. Okay, I'm not opposed to it. I got a text saying Cignetti's buyout would be $10 million. My boy Tyler Ringo on it. He's been a big Cignetti fan for a while. And, hey, I would love it, but I think he's going to have better opportunities. I think your biggest competition right now in looking for a new coach is going to be Oklahoma State. I think that's a program that's about on par with Arkansas in a different conference. Similar recruiting base. I think that's your number one competition right now unless some of these other jobs come open. I don't know. I don't know what to do. I don't know where it goes from here. I'm not paid to make that decision. If I was, the decision would have been made at the end of the 2023 season because I felt like that's when he needed to go. But we'll see. I'm going to go ahead and shut this down. I'm 30 minutes in. Got scores over here on the Packer-Cowboy game now, so I know everybody's wanting to watch it. But I had to get some of this off my chest, man. I couldn't wait until we could get all the guys together, so I had to throw this out there. But appreciate y'all jumping on. Might do it again, might not. I don't know. We'll see. But appreciate y'all jumping in here. Let me get one more comment in from Baxter before I close this out. Look, I'm not saying we should be in the playoff every year. If we can be 8-4 and out occasionally, be 9-3, 10-2, make a run, it'd be great. That's me. That's where I'm at. The bar should not be 6. The bar should be 8-4. Okay, that should be your average, with the occasional dip to 6. Say once every 4 or 5 years, you either dip down to 6 once every 4 or 5 years, or once every 4 or 5 years you jump up and you win 9 or maybe 10, and just get that invite to the playoffs. I'm not asking to be Alabama. I'm not asking to be Georgia. Crap, at this point, I'm not even sure I'm asking to be Ole Miss at this point. But I'm asking to be above, teetering on the 6-6, and going to either Memphis or Birmingham for a bowl game. I mean, I think this program is better than that. I think it has shown what can happen when you have the right people in the right positions. But Arkansas is one of those programs, and I'll leave you this. Arkansas is one of those programs that everything has to be perfect. Your leadership has to be perfect. Your head coach has to be perfect. Your recruiting has to be on point. And if any one of those is not at least an 8.5 out of 10, okay, you're not going to have 10s across the board. You got to have at least an 8.5 out of 10 on your leadership, your coaching staff, your recruiting, everything. Then Arkansas is going to fall behind. Now, you take a piece of that and you make bad hires at the leadership level of athletic director, or you make consecutive bad hires as the head coach, and it puts this program years, if not decades, behind everybody else. And that's kind of where it's sitting right now. So you have to get the right pieces in the right place for this program to have an opportunity to compete in the SEC. So there it is. We'll see what happens. Going to be a wild week in this off week, and then Arkansas's got Tennessee in 2 weeks at Knoxville. So that's a heck of a way for Petrino to make his re-debut as the head hog. So we'll see what happens. Y'all go watch Sunday Night Football.